Have you heard about the guy who fell off an 80-foot ladder, got up and walked away without a scratch? He fell off the first step. In all seriousness, if you fall more than 30 feet and land on a hard surface, it will probably be your last fall. According to the American College of Surgeons, a fall of anything over twice a person's height has a greater than 50% probability of major injury. You must be aware and alert to the risks when working at any elevated height. While the dangers of falling from a great height are obvious, many workers underestimate how dangerous a short fall can be. In general industry, work levels at a height of 4 feet or more require fall protection. There are several areas that this program will focus on: fall protection from flatbed trucks, scissor lifts, overhead crane bridges, and the proper use of lanyards. There are risks associated with working on or around flatbed trucks that can be greatly reduced by following these guidelines. First, be aware of the environmental factors that can impact safety. Make sure that the truck is parked on a level surface. This will ensure that you are working on a level surface when on the flatbed trailer. Also, by having the truck parked on a level surface, you also decrease the chance for accidental trailer rolling to occur. Check to make sure that the deck of the trailer is free of dirt, oil, and other debris. Check to see if the flatbed is dry or wet. The chances of slipping and falling increase if the deck is wet. Avoid wet spots whenever possible. If you work in an area where there are slippery surfaces, wear shoes with non-skid soles. Minimize the need to access the flatbed trailer and complete required inspections from the ground. If you have to work on the deck of the flatbed, prevent falls by staying alert. Pay attention to the task at hand, but also maintain awareness of where you are in relation to the edges of the flatbed trailer deck. With flatbed trailers, there will usually be an overhead crane involved in the loading and unloading process. When loading or unloading, know where the overhead crane is at all times. Your environment is always changing. By being alert and paying attention, you will decrease the risk of being injured. When loading a flatbed trailer, first circle around the trailer from the ground and inspect the deck for damage or debris that could be a potential trip hazard. Accessing the top of the trailer is also a known hazard when working on flatbed trailers because typically the trailers are not equipped with proper access equipment. It is recommended that a portable stair platform with handrails be utilized to access the flatbed trailer. Be sure the portable stair's wheels are locked or that the floor stand is engaged to prevent movement of the stairs while climbing on the trailer. Do not run up or down stairs or skip a step. Take them one at a time and be sure to use the hand railing. Falls often happen when people are in a hurry or are thinking about something else. Stairways deserve your full concentration. Stairs should be kept clear at all times. Once on the top of the trailer, scan the deck to make sure you didn't miss any hazards. Then use the crane controls to guide the material onto the trailer. Make sure not to swing the load or try to stop a swinging load with your hand. Always try to position yourself in the center of the trailer and work front to back to prevent the need to walk over loaded materials. Never position yourself between the load and the side edge of the trailer. Lower the load to the deck gradually. The load can then be secured from ground level. The last step is to tarp the load. If you feel that you cannot safely tarp the load, then you should ask for assistance. While working on the flatbed, do not step or climb on the product. There is limited space on a flatbed trailer, which leaves little room for error. Remember, take your time, be aware of your environment, and complete as much work as you can from the ground. There are other options for tarping to minimize the need for manual tarping from the elevated platform of the trailer. You can tarp from the ground with a rolling and retractable tarping system. You can tarp with side kit arrangements, which are commonly called covered wagons. Use an overhead fall protection system, such as a body harness and fall arrest system. When using a fall arrest system and working on the flatbed trailer, ensure that the overhead lanyard does not potentially impact the crane. In addition, ensure the fall arrest system is properly designed to protect the worker from the particular fall height. Most fall arrest systems will not respond within the required 4-foot distance. Or, you can utilize a rail system that mounts in the pockets of the flatbed trailer. These side rails act as fall protection. When using this kind of system, the operator must be very cautious not to be positioned in an area where they could be trapped between the rail and the load while using an overhead crane. At the present time, there is not a prevalent system utilized in the industry to protect from fall hazards on flatbed trailers. When working from heights, scissor lifts are generally safer to use than ladders. They supply a level platform to stand on while providing an easy means to reach work sites far above the ground. Although they are safer than ladders, scissor lifts are not accident-proof. The best way to eliminate the risks is to be aware of them and follow safe work practices every time you use a scissor lift. Every aerial lift requires the use of fall protection. For scissor lifts, a guardrail is considered adequate fall protection, as long as the worker stays within the boundaries of the guardrail. A standard guardrail consists of a top rail, mid-rail, posts, and toe boards. The guardrail shall have a height of 42 inches from the upper surface of the top rail to the floor. A standard toe board is 4 inches in vertical height. Some workers prefer the added protection of a safety harness attached to a lanyard. All aerial lifts have a load capacity rating that indicates the amount of weight the lift can safely carry. Before work begins, you must know the rating of the lift and make sure that the combined weight of all personnel, tools, equipment, and materials carried on the lift does not exceed this rating. A good safety practice is to have a person stationed on the ground who is able to give aid in the event of an emergency. The person on the ground also acts as a spotter. The operator of the lift is responsible for inspecting the lift before each day's use. Check that there are no loose or missing parts on the unit. Check that all warning signs and decals on the lift are readable. Inspect for leaks in the air, hydraulic fluid, and fuel systems, and make sure hydraulic hoses are free of kinks and pinch points. Be sure that tires are at the correct air pressure, and look for punctures, cracks, and tread wear. During the pre-start inspection, if a problem is discovered that affects the safe operation of the lift, tag out the machine and report this to your supervisor immediately. It is important to also inspect the area where you'll be working. During inspection, check overhead for possible obstructions or electrical runways that can have exposed live conductors. A safe working distance of 10 feet should be maintained from exposed live wires, including crane runway conductors. Before mounting or dismounting from a lift, make sure that the platform is in the lowered position. Any climbing should be done using the 3 points of contact method. That means both hands and 1 foot, or both feet and 1 hand should be in contact with the equipment at all times. Once inside the lift, remember to secure the entry door or chains before raising the equipment. When operating the controls, use a slow, easy touch so that the platform's movement is smooth rather than jerky. While extending the lift, always make sure that you stay within the vertical and horizontal reach limits established by the manufacturer. If at any time the equipment appears to be malfunctioning, stop work immediately and report the problem to your supervisor. While working from a scissor lift, keep your feet firmly on the floor. Do not climb or sit on the edge of the platform or guardrail, and do not use planks, ladders, scaffolds, boxes, or any other such device to increase your working height. Government regulations do not prohibit a worker from leaving an elevated bucket to gain access to an off-the-ground worksite. Obviously, if not done carefully, this can be a very dangerous activity. Never make the transfer off the lift unless you are protected 100% of the time by effective fall protection equipment. The route to be traveled must be surveyed immediately before the move with a check for traffic, holes, or uneven surfaces. While the lift is in motion, keep your focus on the direction you are traveling and maintain a safe distance from potential hazards. Once a task is completed, check that the area is clear of workers and obstructions before lowering the platform. If you are working on a crane bridge, and the work that needs to be done can be completed while safely positioned on the bridge, ensure guardrails are in place on the bridge and that they meet OSHA's standards. Properly designed guardrails on the bridge of the crane can be used as fall protection while conducting work or maintenance activities on the crane. If the employee on the bridge of the crane moves off the protected platform, they will need to have a lanyard system tied to a secure structure. When working on the bridge, take only the tools you need. Any employee who is working from the bridge is responsible for cleaning up any debris and removing all tools when the tasks are completed. When working on a scissor lift or on a bridge and there is work that needs to be done outside of the guardrails, then a lanyard must be used. A lanyard connects the full body harness to a deceleration device, lifeline, or anchorage. Lanyards are short, flexible lines, usually with connectors at each end, made of rope, high tensile strength webbing, or steel cable. Lanyards and vertical lifelines must have a minimum breaking strength of 5,000 pounds. Freefall must be limited to 6 feet or less. The lanyard needs to be attached to the anchorage point in a way that does not reduce its required strength. If using snap hooks, they must be locking snap hooks that fit together properly with the harness's D-rings. Do not attach 2 snap hooks to each other. An anchorage is a secure point of attachment for a personal fall arrest system. The anchorage should be located so that if a free fall occurs, an attached worker will not collide with it or contact any lower-level hazard. Some ways of connecting to an anchoring system can reduce the strength of a personal fall arrest system and should be avoided. A knot should never be tied in a lanyard. A tie-off using a knot in the lanyard or lifeline at any location can reduce the strength of the line by 80% or more. A tie-off around H or I-beams can reduce the strength of the line by 70% or more. Avoid a tie-off around rough or sharp edges. Fall protection devices must be inspected before each use by a competent person. Harnesses and lanyards need to be examined for mildew, wear, damage, and deterioration. Anchor points, snap hooks, D-rings, scaffolding, and guardrails should be inspected for damage that could affect their efficiency. Defective or damaged parts must be taken out of service immediately and should be tagged or marked unusable or destroyed. We have discussed fall protection from flatbed trucks, scissor lifts, overhead crane bridges, and the proper use of lanyards. When working on a flatbed trailer, pay attention to the constantly changing environment. Scissor lifts are safer than ladders, but this does not mean that there aren't any risks. Stay within the guardrails. Follow safe work practices when using a scissor lift and be aware of the risks. Always inspect the lift before each day's use. Whenever possible, have someone on the ground to act as a spotter. While working on crane bridges, stay within the guardrails. If work must be completed outside the guardrails, use a lanyard. Before using a lanyard, inspect it for any damage or deterioration. A fall from a high height is dangerous, but so is a short distance fall, which is why being aware of the risks and paying attention are important when working from any height.